This is part 3 of my dream fighting game. In case you missed the previous parts, part 1 was the roster with all the DLC and a special surprise that I still won't spoil for those who haven't seen it. And part 2 was basically the game modes. But now it's time to explain the story, because this is part 3. And this is the story. Also, these are the concurrent poll results for what's to come after my dream fighting game. So far it looks to be that Street Fighter 6 is gonna come first. So if you guys want the other options, make sure to vote, because otherwise the one that gets the least votes will not happen. So far Street Fighter 6 is definitely not one of them. So it's either gonna be everything about Garden Warfare 2 or how to celebrate Smash Bros. 25th birthday. And also, we're getting close to two things. First, the 200th video, and secondly, 100 subscribers. So subscribe and also ring the bell notification so you can get notified when I upload videos. Alright, now we can move on to the story. Our story starts with our heroes, of course the video game All-Stars, just chilling out, watching TV, when all of a sudden an important message pops up. Of course, with the following. We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you this important message. The tournament fighters has officially started. We've already got a select lineup of contestants who are willing to beat the snot out of each other. Just wow! Look at that impressive lineup. The ultimate match to decide who will be the king. You can fight for your dreams. In this tourney, grand prize is $15,100 million. Who wouldn't want that kind of cash? We are taking entries right now. Then our heroes notice that they see some of their big villains on that list, so they decide to join the tourney as well. And so they sign up, and the first battle begins. And it's not even them, it's Mega Man Volnut versus Knuckles. So this is the first fight of the tournament, and it's basically gonna be like this. So once it starts, you have the option to either pick Mega Man Volnut or Knuckles. Kind of like the Subspace Emissary. Then you just have to beat the snot out of the other person. And once you win, a different cutscene will play depending on who you pick. If you pick Knuckles, then it will show him reassembling Mega Man Volnut. If you pick Mega Man Volnut, then it will show him just yeeting a heal unit at Knuckles. Then the battle is interrupted by the Halberd. But instead of Meta Knight flying it, it's property of Dr. Eggman. Meta Knight sold it to Eggman. Eggman flies it in and decides to bombard it. And so the heroes flip into action. At this point, you have the option to choose either one of the 6 heroes. And once you beat the once you beat the nuts and bolts out of the halberd will then spin out of control. And actually, it's loaded with a portal cannon. And the portal that is open ends up leading them onto the Space Colony Arc. But it's in the past, and it's during the gun raid. So, in Video Game All-Stars, the gun raid is instead led by Springtrap, or in this time, William Afton. Yeah, before he set up Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, he was working as a unit of gun, and he ended up leading the charge to assault on the Ark. However, he wasn't the one that shot Maria Robotnik. Anyways, so now it's a fight between Shadow and essentially Springtrap. Kinda, not really. But anyways. But you only have the option to pick Shadow because, of course, Willie Afton is the villain. Once you do end up beating Willie Afton, Shadow ends up chaos controlling our heroes into another point in time. Yes, it's a time travel story. This time into pirate times, in which they meet Admiral Deadbeard and Corporal Z. So yeah, you know how I said that Commando Z was a super soldier? Well, he's only the first one. The previous Z's behind him were just organic zombies. And Deadbeard was always a pirate, so yeah. Anyways, so now you have to fight them, but with a twist. You see, this is pirate time, so they're up against Captain CP, Peashooter's pirate descendant, before they moved on to a more military-esque line of defense. So anyways, then After all that's done, you then get transported into a completely alternate timeline in which Eggman wins and takes over. And, yeah. But, of course, Eggman couldn't do that without the help of the Germinator. Well, kinda. You see, this old Germinator, pal, wouldn't be that fast. So, yeah, you basically just be the Terminator. Except, in the future, the Terminator has been enhanced with quite the upgrades. Unlike what's shown here, it usually just has this. But, just imagine this, but with an actual robot body instead of, well, just a base. But, yeah, so backtracking from the video game All-Stars for a bit, we cut to Shadow the Hedgehog infiltrating Eggman's base, because of course he does, only to find out that the right-hand man is also over there, just minding his own business, when suddenly he sees Shadow and decides to tango with him for a bit. So, by then you have a choice to either pick Shadow or right-hand man. Yeah, it goes like that. Until Super Brains plays into the picture, and he interrupts mid-fight, and, yeah, he just kind of suplexes Shadow, and it looks like it's all done for, until Pikachu just drops by from the future. Yeah, this story's gonna get confusing, but don't worry, there's something that explains this. Someone is pulling the strings behind the scenes, so, yeah, that's why weird stuff is happening, like, of course, for example, Pikachu just getting pulled from the future for some reason. And then, of course, it's a tag team battle with Shadow and Pikachu versus Right-Hand Man and Super Brains. But once that's over, of course, you only have the option to select Shadow and Pikachu. Once that's over, we then cut to the Sonic X30th crew. Of course, the people who are shown on screen right now. So they're kind of just minding their own business, of course. Nothing too bad. When the Shredder decides to interrupt them. And so, you choose either one of these people. Sonic X30th, Asuka, CG7, or Chai. No matter who you pick, the outcome will still be the same. Of course, you defeat the Shredder. If you lose against the Shredder, you have to retry the fight, because otherwise, the losing isn't canon. So, then, once you beat the Shredder, they need answers out of him. So, what do they do to the Shredder? Well, they kind of just put him in a dumpster. Don't worry, the Shredder escapes. But, yeah, so the Shredder will then proceed to hunt them down for the rest of the story. Anyways, moving on. Metal Sonic and Tugboat are building something for Dr. Eggman. And, yeah, it's a secret for now, which I'll reveal later, but then all of a sudden Princess Peach decides to interrupt their plans. And so, the two duke it out. Well, 3. Actually, 4. Because, yeah, so she finds Yoshi trapped in a cage. Just default Yoshi, not Chungus Yoshi. And then the two decide to fight Tugboat and Metal Sonic. Once they win, of course, then they need to know what Tugboat and Metal Sonic are building. Then a smoke bomb interrupts them, and all of a sudden, every single thing except Peach and Yoshi are just escorted out of there. And it's pretty confusing. But then they realize that there's something closing in on the Earth, and it's quite big. It's the Space Colony Ark. So yeah, that's what Tugboat and Metal Sonic were building. They were building the Eclipse Can again, because after certain events, the Eclipse Cannon, the old one, ended up actually being destroyed by all the pressure that it was shooting out of. So yeah, they decided to rebuild it, and you know that little escort? Well, it turns out the Shredder had done that. So anyways, the reason it's closing in is to get a good look at the Earth. And yeah, it's ready to fire all in on it. So, yeah, but all of a sudden, a time break activates by, of course, Sonic X30. Because he mastered all the skills, okay? So, then, during that time break, the only ones who are immune to said time break are those who can run really fast. For example, Sonic. So, of course, they decide to see who's the real Sonic Hedgehog. And after all that, then the time breaks over, and then the final battle begins. who better to stop the Eclipse Cannon from firing but of course yours truly, the Video Game All-Stars. And they do so in style. So yeah, it's kind of just that usual anime stuff, my friends are my power cliche, yada yada yada. But that's not over. You see, during the story, there are these little bonus missions that you can do in order to earn all 7 Chaos Emeralds. And yeah, they're quite powerful. Even still, the emeralds gather up for the fight. But if you don't collect all the Chaos Emeralds during this final fight, then you'll just have to, well, leave. It's like that. But here are the missions in which you have to do the Chaos Emeralds. The first mission you have to do is, of course, on screen, as shown on screen right now, is the order in which you'll do the missions to get the emeralds. Red, blue, purple, yellow, green, cyan, and white. So, how do you get these emeralds? Well, the red emerald, there's a little NPC that you have to talk to. And you have to... yeah, you just have to... It's pretty simple. You get the red Chaos Emerald by the start. You just have to talk to it and then just give it to you for free. The blue emerald is a bit trickier. Definitely trickier because talking to them and just letting them give it to you is kind of stupid, don't you think? Well, you just figures that it'll be useful for one day. Foreshadowing. Anywho. So yeah. Then we have the blue emerald. So, to get the blue emerald, you have to execute 50 heavy attacks to deflect all the bombs by talking to, I don't know, Bobby the Bob-omb from Paper Mario, the Origami King. Anyways, then to get the purple emerald, you need to do a little something for ya boy, Grimace. Yes, we're putting Grimace in this game. What else am I supposed to do for a purple emerald challenge? Well, for Grimace, you just gotta essentially make the Grimace shake. And how do you do that? Why, just punching a giant milkshake bag. It's just a bag of milkshake powder. And then he'll just give you the purple emerald, which he thinks it to be, quote, a special ingredient in this special recipe of mine. Anyways, to get the yellow emerald is honestly pretty stupid in my opinion. So, here's what you need to do. First, you have to beat Tugboat and Metal Sonic as Peach and Yoshi, of course. Then you have to talk to a scientist in the laboratory who will tell you that there'll be a hidden rock somewhere. Why don't you go find it? So then you have to press all the switches around each of the locations you find. Once you press all the switches, all of them, then the yellow emerald will appear in the laboratory. And then you have to go back and get it. Cause yeah. Then the green emerald is actually quite easy. You actually have to buy it from the shop. Like, you can just go to the shop and it can actually be the first emerald you can get if you just get it in the shop. Which shop should it be in? It's a separate shop where it's not run by anyone, it's just there. And there's a note by it. A note that says, "To whoever finds this note, I am an anonymous person whom you should not know my identity. What's important is this emerald was left for you. Hopefully it will be useful for you in the future." And then just, yours truly, Anonymous. And you can just buy the green emerald for a lot of coins. It's gonna take a while. For the cyan emerald, it's quite simple really. There's an extra mission you can do before you engage in the final battle. And it's talking to Landfill from Battle for Nearville. So you just gotta do some missions for him. They're pretty hard tasks, but you'll get the cyan emerald either way. And final white emerald is, you just gotta have the other 6 emeralds and the white emerald will show up. Once you have all 7 emeralds, the true final boss can begin. But what would be just the regular final boss? The first regular final boss would be this Super Eggman. Don't worry, Super Eggman is he's part of the surprise. I still won't spoil it, but this should give you a hint as to what the surprise is. Anyways, so This is the regular final boss. He's basically just a superpowered Eggman who can fly and shoot laser beams. Pretty standard stuff. But the true final boss, on the other hand, is Super Shredder. Yeah, he may have been defeated by that large explosion after Super Eggman, but if you have all 7 Chaos Emeralds, he can power up with some mutagen and become Super Shredder. In this state, he's bigger, bulkier, stronger, and has more defense. Of course, wait, no. No, he's not gonna have lowered speed. In fact, it's increased, as a matter of fact. So yeah, Super Shredder would be tough. And it's gonna take a while to beat him. Because, yeah, of course, it's only gonna chip away at his health slowly and slowly. But it's not really gonna cause some major effects. But of course, once you beat Super Shredder, this is your reward. Oh wait, I'm not gonna talk about a reward because that would be in the next part, which is of course all the extras. But yeah, so once you beat the story mode, you beat the story mode, and okay, you'll get an achievement, sure, but once you beat it, there are other achievements that we'll talk about in the next part. So yeah, that's the story mode. But of course, there are extra side missions that you still need to do. Some of them not for Chaos Emeralds, but of course, yeah. Anyways, but yeah, some of these side quests even reward you with colors and costumes, but none of them reward you with taunts, intros, outros, etc., etc., etc. But anyways, so yeah, that's the story mode. It's kind of lame, but but there's also a training area where you can just train harder and harder and harder and harder and harder and harder and harder until you become a master at your character. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, training mode can also be just a regular game mode. It's just training mode. Conclusion time, I guess. And yeah, that's the story mode. So, what'd you think about it? Do you love it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you hate it? Well, let me know in the comments below what you think about this story. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications. And have a nice day. But yeah, looks like so far Street Fighter 6 is going to be up. Brother. Good thing I have an external hard drive.